Hey guys, welcome a ting back with another video for you. And this one here was suggested to me specifically, you know what I mean? And I remember a little bit about this in the news and all of that, but of course, you know, the news we get here is the news, you know what I mean? Not, you know, not the truth. And I know I laugh at that, but it's got to the point where it's kind of comical now that we know we're not getting the news, but we getting the news as they see it and take. So this one is called Kosovo Explained. Kosovo, can you imagine? 2009. So you know, this should give me an insight into it, according to the person that suggested that I watch this, and a better insight into the Kosovo thing. So without further ado, let's go ahead and YouTubers simmer and see what this is all about.
Pozori! Sadi jezik! Sadi jezik! Sadi jezik!
As this man lies on the ground, a Kosovo Serb, powerless and defeated, I am reminded of the state in which all Serbs living in Kosovo are today. In the southeastern part of Europe lies Serbia, and the southern province of Kosovo is the source of a centuries-long dispute between Serbs and Albanians who both claim it as their land. Kosovo is deeply embedded in the Serbian tradition, religion, and national identity. The many Christian Orthodox monasteries in Kosovo are a legacy of the golden times of the Serbian state. With the fall of Serbia under Ottoman rule, the ethnic balance shifted in favor of Albanians. The 20th century in Kosovo was marked by conflicts between Serbs and Albanians. In 1999, NATO bombed Serbia to halt a crackdown on ethnic Albanian separatism. After NATO took control of Kosovo, thousands of Serbs fled the province due to retaliation attacks from Albanian extremists.
Could you please?
Okay, so let me ask this here because I'm quite ignorant of the situation there. Do Albanians and Serbians still not get along? Or is there like a sort of shift to some kind of a understanding of each other? Or does the conflict on territory still create that division in humans? Because, you know, we could say Albanians or we could say Serbians, but I'm going to say humans because, you know, that's what we are. Because I like to emphasize the similarities in species, if you want to put it that way. I hate to put it that way, it sounds so clinical, but is there some measure of getting along now, or is it still the same way? Because I know, I could tell there's a history of this happening. So what is the state of it today? I don't know how old this video is. That's why I'm asking that question. So drop a little bit of education on me.
Summarize and explain this delicate situation in Kosovo to somebody who, just an average person who might have not even ever heard of Kosovo.
In a nutshell, for a Canadian sort of analogy, you have a province that has been on life support for decades, receiving what we would call equalization payments from the center to keep its head above water, with a large majority population of Kosovar Albanian Muslims and a relatively small population of Serbs. And no one can accuse the Serbs of treating the Kosovo Albanians with kid gloves. Over the decades following World War II, restricting service and top jobs in the civil service, universities, sometimes language rights, was ill-founded, but it wasn't brutal. Particularly while maintaining a massive, what we Canadians call, equalization payments and granting various degrees of autonomy. But the KLA correctly anticipated that if they commenced a campaign of killing Serbian security forces, the central government, read Milosevic, would overreact. Because that's exactly what governments do. Don't have to tell this audience about the FLQ blowing up a few mailboxes, which was followed by the equivalent of martial law. Another mistake following on that, of course, was the illegal bombing of Serbia in March of 1999. Got off my time. That was engineered long before the bombing. We have now evidence that the Americans were planning this months ahead of time.
I remember her, Madeleine
What
Albright.
followed was the expulsion, or to use the Balkan term, as the cleansing of tens of thousands of Serbs in spite of the presence of NATO peacekeepers.
In the meantime, we know that what's happened in Kosovo, 150 Christian churches and monasteries destroyed, most of the non-Albanian population ethnically cleansed, and Kosovo has been, since 1999, the home of corruption and crime. Most of the heroin trafficking into Western Europe takes place there.
It's a fact that the three prime ministers of Kosovo, all of them have criminal records, all of them on the Interpol list, all of them are linked to the drug trade, involved in various rackets, all of them are involved in ordering targeted assassinations. Now, public opinion is led to believe that this is a legitimate process of independence. It's not independence for anybody. It's the carving up of a country under false pretense, and it's handing over the government of that territory to a bunch of thugs.
Wow.
Essentially, and thugs are very convenient to have under your auspices because they can be manipulated and they tend to obey orders. But the real thugs are the people in high authority in the European Union and the United States and in NATO, which are upholding and fostering the criminalization of the state.
To this day, a small number of Serbs remain in Kosovo. But do they really have all the human rights that are described in the many UN reports coming out of Kosovo? Is Kosovo really, as the West describes it, a peaceful democracy?
It's starting to become like an American day. Like, you don't have time to think or anything like that. You have to work a lot, to study, to think about the future, to plan where you're going to study, to come back here and live it and improve the place where you were born. So people are busy and thinking how to improve stuff.
What's the situation like here?
You know, that's ironic that she said that because basically that's how it is in other parts of the world, like Africa, the Caribbean. We come to study the bigger countries, and a lot of us go back home and we implement what we studied or learned in these bigger countries. And like a lot of us come to America, a lot of us go to Canada, a lot of us goes to England, even Germany. I mean, there's even Jamaicans studying in China now, which was unheard of about 10, 15 years ago. You know what I'm saying? And thing, and we get so wrapped up in our own struggles that we don't realize that it's happening somewhere. And it seems like certain parts of the world have been effectively kept under the radar, so nobody knows what's really going on except what news we've been fed about that place. You understand what I'm saying? And if you want to break it down, and let's draw some little comparisons here. Even in America, it's the same thing. Because as an immigrant coming here, some things I saw was like, wait, that happens here? Wait a minute, what's going on? And there are certain places in America where they are kept to a certain understanding of what's going on around them, a certain standard of education, to the point where nobody knows what really is going on there. And people are assuming that the people there are lazy and violent and vicious and stuff. Like where I live, a lot of people have this whole negative picture of this place where I live here. And I've lived here for a while, and yes, there is some negativity, but I think the negativity spawns from self-fulfilling prophecy. They tell you that's the way you are, sooner or later people start reacting that way. I don't know if that makes sense. It's a kind of a psychological, sort of a sociological type of thing. Both of them can, psychological in the sense of the way that people feel, sociological in the sense that it becomes a cultural norm. You know what I'm saying and thing? And but nobody really knows what's going on there, because the way it is and the way people perceive it to be, and then the way that people live in relation to the way people think about them, sort of creates the atmosphere of what people think of said place. So it's a combination of a whole different bunch of things, you know what I mean? And I don't understand what's going on. Well, I don't know the politics and stuff that's going on there. But as somebody who's studying culture and humans, as I could understand it to a certain degree, because I could relate it to other places that have been treated like they have been treated. And that just goes for pretty much everybody that has been downtrodden upon, like certain places in America. And I'm not talking about the color thing, because I mean, where I live is predominantly white people. And the way they are looked at in the rest of the world, I work I used to work on the telephone, and people would tell me these things. What are you doing in West Virginia? Oh my God, this is wrong, that is wrong, that is wrong. And I'm sitting there at the time I was at the university and I was working with Amazon. And I was telling them, I don't see the stuff you say. You know what I mean? I see hardworking people. I see students. No. That sort of changed the last 7 years, where I started to work among the locals, and I see the self-fulfilling prophecy that's happening among the people. I hope that makes sense there. You know what I mean? Because I'm trying to portray the idea that we all have a struggle that is going on. Some more severe than others. That's a severe thing there, ethnic cleansing, that was proclaimed and stuff there. That's not happening here. But it's a sort of kind of like a self-awareness cleansing that's happening. I hope that makes sense. Let's get back to the video.
It's really good. Like many Albanians had difficulties because it's hard for them to cope with Serbians. Well, I think day by day things will improve because time heals pain. So that's what I think.
Okay. Again, that's why I'm asking. This was 2009. It's 2024. Has things gotten better to the point where people are starting, the next generation is starting to get along? And sometimes losing your history is a bad thing. But sometimes when that history of violence or animosity is not fresh in mind, people tend to start, you know what I mean, getting together and sort of becoming just people living, you know what I'm saying? So that's why I asked that question there.
One of the container cities. We call them container cities. They're all over the place, and they're in and living in them are usually people from the March riots. Some of them that were living there before the March riots. The containers were donated by the Russians. Oh, no, look.
You know what's sad about situations like this, like people who have been oppressed and stuff? You have these outsiders coming there claiming to fight for human rights, but in essence, what's happening is rich people just trying to dominate and use whatever natural resources that's there, including the people, and they'll turn people against each other and have them fighting, even though they're in the same region. And it's all for their own political and economic advancement, you know.
Došao sam iz Obilića, gdje sam rođen u Obiliću, živeo u svojoj porodičnoj kući do 18. marta 2004. godine kada su nas Albanci, to jest albanska iredenta isterala iz svojih kuća, popalili svoje kuće, došli smo ovdje. Prije nego što smo došli ovdje u Gračanici, bili smo u kampu NATO snaga, gdje smo bili 6 noći. Tih 6 noći su najgore noći koje sam doživio i proživio u svom životu. Maltretirani od strane engleskih vojnika, proganjani. Ja imam običaj da kažem da imamo mi ona prava koje su 99. godine imali Albanci, svega 50%. Ne znam da bi bilo sretnijeg nekog na svijetu od srpskog naroda. Albanci su imali svo pravo. Imali su svoje škole, imali su svoje institucije, fakultete, jezik, sve, dok danas, 2008. godini, Srbi nemaju pravo na crkvu, nemaju pravo na svoj jezik, nemaju pravo na svoje škole, to jest jednim rečju nemaju pravo na život.
Dakle, Albanci su na Kosovu i Metohiji pre 99. godine imali daleko veća prava u ime jedne ideologije koja je živala, bratstvo jedinstvo.
Ovde peru posuđe, da se popamo i vese i sve. Preko zime dešava se po 48 sati da nema struje.
Wow, in the winter?
Mesto Obilić pre bombardovanja, to je jedno mesto koje je u samom gradu Obiliću bilo preko 6000 Srba. Posle NATO agresije i ulaska NATO vojnika, kao malo što sam rekao, do 2004. godine je bilo oko 1000 Srba, a sada ima oko 40 Srba, znači to je mesto etnički očišćeno, a tih 40 Srba je vraćeno da bi se ispunili neki standardi Evropske unije i svjetske organizacije, da bi to mesto bilo multietničko, to jest multietničko sa 1% Srba, ali 99% Albanaca.
Okay, so what I'm seeing here so far, here's what I'm seeing, and I think this is kind of an ironic thing. Like today, there's like this fervor against Muslims, but the countries that are having those issues with Muslims now were the ones back in the Albanians who were Muslims, which proves to a certain degree that it's more a political thing than it is a humanity thing. They're choosing sides to back that's going to further their interest more than anything else. And it's not just there, it's everywhere. They will side with the people they proclaim to be, the vicious people and the godless people and all of that, if it means that they would keep another group of people down. and then turn around and say, well, those people that we help there, they're just as evil too, you know. So we gotta keep them in check, you know, or their counterparts around the world in check. It's just weird how we do stuff.
Jedno mjesto koje za mene najljepše na svijetu.
In my opinion, it's getting better. We are no more thinking of what happened in the past. We are focused more on developing our country.
I went to meet 3 Serb women whose home had been taken away by Albanians and are living in a K4 army base close to Uroševac. American soldiers evacuated them from their ancestral home to save them from Albanian rioters who then destroyed the house. Their great-grandfather built their hometown of Uroševac, and they don't plan to leave until they regain their home. This is the Nikolic family. Mother Daniela, who is blind, Lily, who is paralyzed, and Sunny, the very image of mildness and physical slightness.
Bez razlike na posljedice odlučile smo da ostanemo u kući. Kada su nas iz Umnika pozvali telefonom i rekli da ne smemo da izađemo čak ni u dvorište jer bacili molotovljeve koktele, gađaju kamenjem, rekli su da će doći Amerikanci da nas zaštite. Međutim, Amerikanci nisu htjeli da čuju, da pozovu svoju komandu i na brutalni način su nas praktično izbacili iz kuće.
You know, just listening to this, a thought come into my head, and you know, this is a thing that we don't think of as a black person. If you're not cognizant of other people's struggle, regardless of their ethnicity, you just can't fathom that Europeans, I'm not going to say it, white people, this is happening to them too. Because, you know, I think it's a purposeful thing for us not to think about stuff like that. Because then we can't find the solidarity that's going on there. If a people has been oppressed, period, in general, regardless of the color, we should have some sort of solidarity with them. But because of the news we've been fed or what we've been told, we can't see it. Oh, those are just Europeans there, you know, so it couldn't be that bad. And then we get the news, and the news tell us something else, which is the same kind of stuff that happened with Africa. Oh, they're eating people over there, they're vicious, all they do is kill each other, they're very uncivilized, and it's the same thing. Which brings us to similarities again. We thought that, I mean, if you are rich in this world, or if you're not a kiss butt, you're pretty much doomed, you know what I mean? If you're proud of where you come from, that's even worse for you. You're not supposed to think for yourself, you're just supposed to follow.
Uroševac is one of the best cleansed municipalities in Kosovo. During the bombing, it was a pretty quiet area. After the war, American KFOR took over, and then the real hell started. Complete Serb, Roma, and Croat population was forced out from the town and from the neighboring villages. All Serbian houses, literally 99%, were burned down. Over 3,000 Serb houses in the municipality were burned down.
Kameri su se parkirali američki.
No, he said, see, this is how I like to look at it. Yep, there was a slave trade. Africans were enslaved. But we have to differentiate between what the actual ordinary people are doing and what the leaders are doing. We have to differentiate it. We can't just say all Serbians are evil, or all Albanians are evil, or all Europeans are evil, or all white people are evil, or all black people are evil, when most people are just people trying to survive, and usually the people who are trying to survive is a collateral damage. And if certain entities make it hard enough for the ordinary people, where they have to worry about surviving day to day, they can't think of another man's struggle. They just can't. They don't have time. And also it depends on what the people are being fed. You know, because it's like, oh, all Africans are evil and vicious. For the longest while, that's all I ever heard on the news. Same thing with the Serbs. Everybody's done something in their history that has affected others negatively. Everybody's done it. I mean, and some people might not agree with me, but somehow we got to get past that and make it. The point is to make it better for the future generation, and the best way to do it is for us to get along. And that shouldn't be considered utopia. You could believe what you want to believe. I could believe what I want to believe, and we coexist. As long as one is not, affecting the other, why can't we just get along? I could live next to a Muslim, and he could believe in what he believes in, even though I'm a Rastafarian. I could live next to a Christian, and he could believe in what he believes in, as long as we get along and leave each other be and live life and don't have all that animosity floating around. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, most of the statements I'm making is not directly to Serbs or directly to Africans. It's just humans, period. Let me repeat that. I'm looking at stuff from a human perspective, not from I use the Africa as an example, the Caribbean as an example, because history shows you what's going on there. You know what I'm saying?
Američki vojnici pod ratnom spremom su pokušali da nas ubace u svoje hamere, onda je iz mase jedan mladić u crnom odeven, a to se zna da je uniforma UČK, dao znak rukom da sada mogu da počne paljba na nas i onda su počeli da nas gađaju kamenjem, čime su stigli. Jedan kamen je priletao meni na nogu, a ja sam paralizovana 2 godina i to je za mene bilo pogibeljno. Ubacili su nas u svoje hamere, doveli u grčki Kejfor. Ja sam onda dobila Veliki otok. Nisu hteli u bolnom stilu u američkoj bazi da snimaju moju nogu, niti da pogledaju lekare, jer ja sam Srpkinja. Da sam bila Albanka, oni bi to uradili. Posle negde 5 ili 6 dana, preko nekih velikih veza, grčki lekar je uspio da izdejstvuje, da me odvedu u boln stil, da naprave snimke. I u 11 noću odveli su me 2 kilometra u bon stil, noću da ne vidim niko od Albanaca i da jednoj Srpkinji pokušavaju da snime nogu. Međutim, nisam imala sreće, moje koleno je već bilo u raspadu, noga takođe, i posle 33 dana ležanja ovde prebacili su me u Solun, gde su me operisali, nažalost neuspešno, moje su noge kraće 15 cm. To vam je priča oni koji su hteli da ostanu i da poginu u svojoj kući. Mi smo stvarno bile spremne na to.
Over here, it used to be, this used to be the basketball court where Serb kids used to play basketball and football.
What is it now?
It's a place where Albanians play. You see, Albanians used to come over here, and they would drive by and they would shoot them. Shoot at them or shoot them. And the Norwegians built a big wall here and stopped them from shooting them and stuff. So they stopped playing basketball and stuff like soccer. And all this here, all of this, everything, every single house you see there, every single thing used to be a Serbian house like this stuff a few years ago. Some of them still are. Some of them still are, and they haven't moved back. You see, they're empty. They're completely empty. There's nobody living in them still anymore. They can't go back. They can't. They've been terrorized. There's a psychological thing, after you're shot at, or after your house is burned, or after you're abused for so long, you can't expect the person to say, all right, well, now everything's okay, I'm going to move back. It's not going to happen that quickly. No.
No, he's saying that there, and I was thinking about something I watched on YouTube. And it is where, for a while there, wherever there was African American cities, or I'm going to say Black American cities, and they started to thrive, that they would just move in and just tear it down. Or they just move in and do an overpass or underpass highway or something. And I saw one where there's actual places where it was the black community that was thriving. They tore it down and they put a lake there. So if you dive down into those lakes, you'll see how remnants of houses and stuff down there. Craziness, huh?
No way. Oh, this isn't here before. The building over there used to be all Serbian, now it's all Albanian. The church somewhere there. Nobody visits anymore. Nobody even touches it anymore. Why burn it down when you can just let it fall apart, right?
Plus, letting it fall apart like that, and having the people seeing this stuff falling apart like that is a huge psychological edge.
Nobody had a building permit for any of this stuff. Nothing. There's not one building permit. Why? Because in 2000, there was a building inspector, an Albanian guy that was a building inspector, that would be responsible for inspecting buildings that were built illegally. He was assassinated, 2 shots. He was killed in front of his own house. And as a result, after he was shot, nobody wanted the job. Church of Velika Hoća village. In the old days, they used to run in the house when I used to drive by here.
Next to the destroyed church were monuments to Albanian guerrilla fighters, including one that showed a map of the idea they were fighting for.
It's a map of Greater Albania. You see in the margin is Albania, like Kosovo, with outlines of repression about it, Serbian property. Televo goes to our words, that's where we're at. Northern tip of Greece, and 3 municipalities in Montenegro.
But it seems that there is no place for Serbs in this greater Albania. In Plešina village, one Serbian woman stands defiant in the face of the expanding Albanian giant. She is surrounded by Albanians, but is resolved to stay in her home.
Look, she has these boots on because they tried. She was attacked 2 years ago and heavily beaten up, and they stole 2,000 euros. Her sister sent her, which is very hard to beat up. But it's a miracle she's still alive. Because all other Serbs in one municipality who dare to stay are or kidnapped and missing, or dead, or guarded by KFOR 24 hours. This is a miracle.
Kad sam došla vamo dole, do ovih kuća, kad sam vidjela da su porušene, odmah sam znala, rekao, svi su otišli. Rekao, kud idem jadna ja, kud idem? Da se vratim, kako da se vratim? Mogla sam da se vratim, ali će mi deca ubiti sa kamenjima. I produžim ti ja u grad, siđem ti ja dole u grad i tako, kad gledam dole gore, nema žive duše srpske, nigdje nikoga. Kuću, sad jedna majka. Nisu mi rekordirali, a mislili su da sam neka cigančure. Ja inako sam bolesna bila, pa se savila do zemlje da me niko ne pozna. I zamotala karpu ovako.
Nisu prepoznali da ste Srpkinja?
Nisu prepoznali, da su me prepoznali, smatili bi me. I tako ti ja dođem ovamo, kad sam došla tu, kažem sama sebi šta da radim, a ova deca mi kažu nema nikoga, kaže žive duše srpske, kaže evo na Kosovu. Pa mislim se, a jednom je da se mre, a neka bude šta bude. I tako ti to, moj brate, dosta teško je to ti.
Suddenly, our interview was interrupted by 2 Albanian men who had entered the house uninvited. I felt that the old lady was practically under house arrest.
Wow, they just walk on in.
Basically, because of some reason, unlike the rule, they decided not to kill her. Why? Who? Maybe there are some good souls in her neighborhood among the Albanians. Maybe. Basically, this lady is not killed, and that's completely unusual and complete miracle. But on the other way, she is under the siege. She is their prisoner on a way. She was very afraid when they entered. She stopped talking and she started to talk quiet because they're here to monitor what she's saying. I went out just to make them confused, to say that we are just an organization. They were very interested who we are, why we are coming to visit Smirka, what is she telling to us. But
wow,
I think that we cheated them very well. They didn't get it.
It wasn't only the elderly Serbs who were standing their ground. One family in South Kosovo also refused to be expelled from their house. Father Radovan, Mother Ljiljana, and children Anica, Zorica, Jovica, Nenad, Andrej, Andrijana, Natalia, Darko, and Juk Bogdan. This is the Stanojković family.
Mi smo 11 člana porodica, živimo u 2 sobe, u 30 kvadrata. Slobodu nemamo, mirane, težak je za život gore na Kosovu kod nas. Albanci ih provociraju, sad su se vratili oni svi kad su izbjegli kad je bio rat, svi su se vratili, a Srbi nema nigdje da se vraćaju. Tako da je težak život za nas. Struje nema, plašimo se mraka, djeca naročito se plašaju. Od 99. težak je život gore da se živi. Posao nemamo, suprug mi ne radi, ja ne radim. Živimo od socijalne pomoći.
Pa ne provodimo slobodno vrijeme i mislim za srpski narod i dalje tamo nemamo slobodno, mi ne smijemo, mislim.
Social welfare. They have that here too. So it's a perfect way to keep people in their place. Now, while I'm watching this, I am reminded of a comment that I saw this morning on the video I did of Serbian music. And, what the person says, and this is the exact words, boy, there's just too much for you to know, you can't understand it, and you'll never understand it. Tell me, let's exchange this experiences. Because if you don't tell me what I'm going to understand about you, is what I'm seeing that is being fed to me. And I always believe in getting it from the person who experienced it or whose family experienced it. Because that's where the truth comes in. More so or not. We have YouTube, we have TikTok, we have Instagram, we have all these social media where we should be exchanging ideas. Instead of dancing around and prancing around. That's cool, don't get me wrong, you know what I mean? That's cool because you have to have fun sometime, you know what I mean? But in order to understand each other, okay, just like in order for me to understand where I'm going, I've got to understand where I'm coming from. That should be a worldwide thing. In order to understand where we're going as a human race, we have to understand where each other is coming from. That's how we're going to build solidarity. If somebody's trying to learn about you, don't tell them you'll never understand, go away. Say, I'll do the best I can. But, we have to try to look at it from a human perspective. Because everybody's had struggles. Like I said, some is greater than others. I'm not diluted anything that anybody's affected, anything that's had happened to anybody. But the point is to learn about each other. And even just the basics of a situation. Because human beings ain't supposed to suffer like that. Yeah, people want to say that's man's nature. But we shouldn't be suffering like that. We should be understanding each other. So please, educate me. And trust me, I'm educating other people. Especially when they come up with the wrong idea of what's happening in a place. Because I've been subjected to the wrong idea of what happened in a place. So that part of understand, boom, similarity. And then we could teach each other about each other. That's the way to go.
Dalje da idemo od svoje kuće. Samo bi željeli mi da živimo mirno, da imamo mir, da se krećeš, da ideš slobodno, bez straha, to je kod nas najpotrebnije. Pa da opstanemo tamo.
Pa provodim kući, nigde. Ne smiješ da izađeš nigde iz kuće, svim dođe mrak, treba da zaključiš vrata pa da sediš kod kuće, ne smiješ da izađeš. Slobode nema, ne smiješ da ići u slobodno.
Yeah, they sure have, and their rights will go furthermore as the country is improving.
See, I kind of figured that she was Albanian. Because you kind of hear the same thing about that about black people here, you know what I mean? Oh yeah, they got the same rights, you know, they complain too much.
Yeah, kind of, yes.
Da, kada ste tu devojku pitali da li ste je pitali na engleskom ili na srpskom, da, niste smeli da progovorite srpski, to morate da kažete. Da ste progovorili na srpskom, onda biste na svojoj koži osjetili kako žive manjine na Kosovu i Metohiji. To je vrlo jednostavno. Da ste progovorili srpski, u Prištini vi biste bili linčovani. Imali smo slučaj da su pretukli staricu od 82 godine koja je otišla u Prištinu zbog kupovine lekova, međutim, srpski narod je bombardovan od strane 19 zemalja u ime sveg civilizovanog sveta. Isto tako, 2004. godine Albanci su pokazali kakav je njihova zrelost kada su u pitanju manjine.
That's another similarity there. When they brought the slaves over from Africa, they make sure and put the different tribes of people together so that way they can't speak the language. They kind of outlaw the religion. They outlaw the language. A lot of it has persevered through the time and thing like that, you know what I mean? But like, I don't know, Patois, my parents did, that slowly died out as we became more assimilated to the society that we have to survive in. You understand what I'm saying? So it's an old technique to, you know, don't let them speak their own stuff because then we ain't gonna understand what they're saying and they could be planning stuff against us. When in reality people are just out there trying to survive and live, you know what I mean? Trying to live a better life for them and their families. It's crazy how that is. See, it's happening. I'm gonna say it again, we're not that different. And they don't just do it to different ethnicities, they do it to their own people. Keep them in a box, be it economic, be it religious, keep them in a box so that they can't get any kind of solidarity going. The division is real and it's devastating. And I'm talking about worldwide. They keep us, you know, ignorant. That's why I said, talk to us. What's up? What's going on?
Videli ste šta su radili 2004. godine? Srušili su sve što je podsjećalo na srpsko, zapalili su sve što podsjeća na srpsko, a ubijali su ljude, rušili crkve, upalili domove, dakle, sistematsko uništavanje i proterivanje sveg srpskog stanovništva. Žive u dve ulice, naspram njih je Ibar i čuveni most koji razdvaja dva naroda, dva suprotna entiteta, Albanci i Srbe, gde Srbi imaju izuzetno tešku situaciju, jer pored opasnosti koja dolazi sa mosta, mi utoliko zavisimo i egzistencijalno od njih. Dakle, u albanskim rukama je ostao i vodovod gde, zamislite, 100.000 ljudi u Kosovskoj Mitrovici danas nema da pije vodu. Dakle, sa svakog aspekta život u Kosovskoj Mitrovici je vrlo težak.
Back in South Kosovo, we learned that the last Serbian couple in the majority Albanian town of Uroševac was willing to see us. When we parked in front of their home, a bunch of Albanian kids hurled around us to see what the commotion was about.
Deca od 7-8 godina do 16-17 godina po cijel dan lupaju loptom iz vrata, u zidove, viču, urliču, psuju. UNHCR mi je postavljao to što vidite, stavio iz ove metalne rešetke da mi neko ne ubaci bombu, valjda šta li. Ceo dan se tu vrtimo u dvorištu. Ja nekad izađem, ali ženi kažem ako ne dođem, znajem da sam likvidiran. Nema Srba, još ima samo 5 Srba.
Oni ne mogu da odu slobodno do prodavnica ili normalno da izađu na ulice, moraju da se prerušavaju, moraju da se privikavaju na njihov način života. U suprotnom oni će ili da budu isterani iz svojih domova ili da budu ubijeni ili kidnapovani.
Čega živite?
Grci nam daju hranu.
Ponekad Grci.
Daju ponekad hleba. Nikad se ne bi iselio. Moj deda je bio u Americi. I zaradio pare, moji su sa šarpani. I 1919. godine muslimani su ljubili dedu na šarpani. Njen otac je umre u Čikagu u Americi. I nije hteo da dođe ovde zbog Tita, zbog komunizma. Kao ratnog vojnog veterana sahranila ga vojska američka. Sa parama koje im je otac slao i oni su napravili ovde kuće. Mi smo, otac moj pokojni, od dedinih para. I sad mi je sve to porušeno. Otac nam je dao, ostavio amanet prije smrti, da Kosovo ne napušta.
Watching that man break down hit hard.
Can you imagine that this is happening in the heart of Europe at the beginning of the 21st century in a land under international supervision? The world accused the Serbs of being the sole perpetrators of crimes in the Yugoslav wars of the 1990s, even though all sides were committing crimes. This should not give a free hand to those who seek to eliminate the Serbian presence in Kosovo. Can you imagine someone taking your land and claiming it's not yours anymore? What human rights would you have? Can you imagine someone telling you that you have to leave your ancestral home? What freedoms would you have? Can you imagine not having a voice, not being able to do anything about it, being completely powerless and defeated, while those who have wronged you being rewarded by the self-proclaimed leaders of the free world? Can you imagine?
Ovo rešavaju sve velike sile. Amerika podržava Albance, nas koga radi Rusiji, Kinezi, evo sad i Indija, malo se udružuju, ali ja jedino očekujem da pravda pobedi.
sort of makes my my own struggle pale in comparison, huh? Always have to pick a scapegoat, and there's always all these other people out there in there. Forget the history. Let's make it the way we want it to be. Now, whenever we say Russia did this or America did this, we have to, like I said, and the cool thing about on the island, we could differentiate between what the government is doing, what the people really want. And those who believe what they hear about other people is because of what they are being spoon-fed. They don't know. When people don't know other people, it's when or what's happening in a situation in other people's countries or continents. It's easy to believe whatever you hear. And I see that every day talking to people, they just don't know. So they allow certain people to tell them what's happening and they believe that without even meeting people from that region or country or continent. I'm gonna leave a link in the description to this video. I hope you guys enjoyed watching this with me or enjoyed learning about this with me. Please tell me in the comment section if things have gotten any better, if it's still the same in 2024. Y'all take care of each other, alright? Cool runnings.